Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, or if this is your first time here, welcome to my channel and welcome to today's video. As you guys can tell by the title, today's video is going to be a New Year's Q&A. I don't think I did one of these last year, but I believe I did one the year before that. I think it's just a great way to start the new year, chit chat with you guys, and kind of lay out. I do get a lot of questions about like things happening in the year to come. It's a good way to kind of lay out plans that I have for this year and just answer any questions that you guys have. I do have little Lily down here. She's due for a nap in 13 minutes, so we're gonna see how much of this I can get filmed before I have to go stick her in for a nap, and then if I still need to continue filming, I will jump back on after I go ahead and do that. But I'm going to jump right into today's video. I say this in every one of my Q&As / chatty videos, but I really hope this video isn't too long for you guys. I did get a good number of questions, almost 10 questions here, and not really any repeat questions. So without further ado, we're going to jump into my New Year's Q&A. First question we're going to start off with is New Year's themed, and that is, what are your New Year's resolutions? I don't think I made New Year's resolutions last year. I think I was pregnant with Lily and I just had not too many expectations for last year being pregnant, and then knowing that I was going to be having a newborn and a small baby in the second half of the year. So I don't think I made any resolutions last year. I do like these videos to kind of recap if I've completed any resolutions from the year before, but I don't think I made any last year. For this year, I started thinking about this yesterday when this question was asked to me, and I actually had a really hard time coming up with any resolutions for myself for the new year, which I think should be a resolution in and of itself. Like, I should work on setting small goals for myself and achieving those throughout the year to help me feel like productive and accomplished. I think one of the main things that I need to work on in 2025 has to do with parenting, and that is just having more patience as a mom. With having a small baby, she's actually the easiest of the three, having the boys who are going to be 5 in just like a little over 2 weeks. She's actually easier to take care of than the boys because she has a predictable schedule and she really isn't mobile yet. She obviously isn't talking yet. She isn't pushing boundaries yet like the boys are constantly doing. Look at her trying to crunch up and sit. What do you want, this? She's actually a lot more predictable to take care of and a lot easier to just care for on a day-to-day. The boys, however, because they are almost 5 years old, they are constantly pushing boundaries, which are like, it's something that is developmentally normal for their age. And so learning to navigate them and their new kind of independence and behavior as they've gotten older has led me to be a mom that does not have a lot of patience. And so I think the main thing that I want to work on in 2025 is just practicing more patience as a mom and being less of a no mom. I've really turned into a no mom, and I say no to a lot of things, and I've realized saying no to certain things actually just causes me more like tension, and it's more detrimental to me than it is the boys. I saw someone over on TikTok say that unless it is dangerous and their child is physically going to get hurt, she's trying to shift her mindset from saying no to things to saying yes to things. And in saying yes to a lot more things, like the boys wanting to put their shoes on or the boys wanting to do a task more independently, it actually helps them grow and flourish. I'm so quick to just like snatch a shoe from them and try and put it on them in hopes that it's going to be quicker and faster, but then it leads to them having a meltdown and feeling like I took away their independence. And so unless something is like physically going to cause harm to them or it's dangerous, I'm really going to try and shift my mindset from being a no mom to a yes mom. And hopefully in doing that, it will also help shift my mindset and help me have a little bit more patience in motherhood. So I think that's like the one main resolution I have for myself in 2025. I do have my computer back here, so that is what I'm looking at to pick out the questions. But the next question is, how has Jack and Ben adjusted with Lily's growth over the past few months? And I think it's gotten a lot more fun for them having her be more of like a human being. Obviously when she was really little, they loved like the novelty of having a baby in the house. They loved helping me throw out her diapers, and they were very good at helping me care for her. But now that she likes to play with toys and can babble more at them and is just more interactive, they love to try and include her in the games that they're playing, which I think is really cute. It's very good for her to be like mentally stimulated by them, but it is really fun for them because they're so used to just playing with each other all the time for the last 4.5 years until she was born. I think it's a nice change of pace to have another person join in on the games with them. And so as she's gotten older and is more like active, I think it's been even more fun for them. If you guys follow me over on Instagram, I do post a lot of stories of her and her brothers. They're obsessed with her, and in turn she's obsessed with them. She lights up and gets the biggest smile on her face whenever they come around her. Jack especially loves to give her hugs, and she absolutely loves that. And so I think as she's gotten older, it's gotten even more fun for them, and I'm so excited to see once she's able to like crawl and move around and actually like take part in games. I can see when they're running around the house, she's so entertained by it, but I can see she wants to join in on it. I just know it's going to get even more fun for all of them, and I'm just really excited to see their relationships continue to flourish as she gets older and as the boys get older. Okay, next question I have over here is, how has your mental health been with having 3 children? And I've actually addressed this a lot in a lot of Lily's update videos. I give like small little updates on myself. And I have to say, going into transitioning to 3 kids, I was actually really nervous about my mental health. I experienced a lot of postpartum anxiety with the boys, and in turn, I feel like I experienced some postpartum depression with them. I also felt extremely isolated after having them because we had COVID, and so I wasn't able to get a lot of like familial help with them. And so I kind of set myself up and expected to feel a lot of the same feelings I had with the boys with her. However, I was surprised to not experience a lot of those thoughts. I think now being a second-time mom, one of the main things that gave me anxiety with the boys was their feedings, and I felt like if they didn't eat, they weren't going to sleep, and in turn, like, something bad was going to happen to them. Those were like the intrusive thoughts that I experienced with them. With her, I actually don't feel that way, and I think it's so funny. I say to her all the time, it's crazy how like certain things can give you so much anxiety with one child, and then the next, like, you don't worry about that at all. I've definitely been a lot more lax with her eating than I was with the boys. I would sit there for hours and try and force them to finish a bottle, and if they didn't, I would call my mom crying, call Harris crying, and just spiral for the rest of the day. Also with her naps, the boys, if their naps ever got messed up, it was an all-day spiral for me. And for her, I feel like I'm just more lax with it. Maybe it's the experience of her being like a subsequent baby and realizing that as the years have gone on, the boys have survived if they didn't eat or didn't sleep. So I haven't really experienced any of the same anxiety that I had with the boys, and with that I haven't experienced the same depression that I had with the boys. And obviously with her and living in Harris's parents' house, I don't feel as isolated as I did after I had the boys with having her. So surprisingly, my mental health hasn't taken that much of a hit this time around in having her and now having 3 kids. But like I said, I definitely need to practice patience. And I do think I've experienced just a touch of postpartum rage, but I think that comes with me feeling like I don't have any patience for certain behaviors from the boys and just things from Harris. It has caused me to snap a little bit, and I attribute that to just some postpartum rage. But overall, I would say I'm excited to see like my mom see me with her. Her and I are actually taking a trip down to Florida next week. We were supposed to go, all 4 of us, me, her, and the boys. However, after flying with the boys and her down to Clearwater, I did have Harris's help for that. I realized that I don't think I'm ready to fly alone with all 3 kids, and so just Lily and I are going to go down for the weekend for my grandmother's 80th birthday. But I'm excited for my mom to see me with her and get her feedback on how she like sees me as a mom with her and how I'm doing. She never saw me with the boys when they were this little because of COVID, but she did see me with them starting at like 16 months, and I just think it's going to be interesting to see her feedback and see if she thinks I'm more lax with her, because I feel like I'm more lax with her, which has been good for her and for me and for Harris and for everyone as a whole. So all in all, I do think my mental health has been a lot more stable this time around, adding Lily in and having 3 kids. Okay, Lily has 5 more minutes until her nap, so I'm going to answer one more question, get her down, and then I'll jump back on. The next question actually is Lily related, and it says, do you have a plan for Lily's early stages of teething? And Lily actually is about to pop her first tooth on the bottom. She had a little fever the other day. If you guys saw my last vlog, I talked about how she had a little fever and I thought she was coming down with a little bit of a cold that I had the past week. However, I stuck my finger in her mouth and she does have her first bottom tooth getting ready to pop through. It has been about 4 days since I first noticed it and it has yet to cut through her gums, so she is like actively teething now. They say once it breaks through the skin, it's not really uncomfortable for them anymore. It's that like emerging motion of it coming through the gums that winds up being the most uncomfortable for them. But she has overall been pretty good about it. As you can see, she loves to just chew on her fingers to help it come through. I do have those like Camilla teething drops, I think that's what they're called. I do have those in the cabinet, but I haven't pulled them out for her yet. I did give her Tylenol the first few days because she did have a low-grade fever as well, but I haven't really been giving her Tylenol or Motrin since that fever has broken gone away. So I just give her a lot of time to help the tooth come through. I give her a lot of toys to chew on. I give her teethers. I actually gave her a pancake yesterday and she loved to like suck on that and chew on that. I let her hold her burp cloths to try and have those like help her chew and get the tooth to break through. Washcloths. I just give her a lot of opportunities to help the tooth come through. And then if she ever was in extreme pain, like crying or visibly uncomfortable, I would just give her Tylenol or Motrin, maybe even try those Camilla drops. I think my mom gave me some other kind of homeopathic teething drop, but I haven't pulled any of those out to try just yet. But little Lily is gonna have her first little tooth here very soon, and so I'll keep you guys updated on that once it finally breaks through the gums. But I'm quickly going to get her down for a nap and then I'll jump on and finish this Q&A. Okay, just tuck her in. We'll see how long it takes her to fall asleep. The next question is also kind of Lily related slash baby sleep related, and it is, what is your biggest takeaway and tip for sleep training? And if you guys remember, if you guys have been around since Lily was born, she was a difficult baby to get to sleep in the beginning. I actually had to contact nap her for almost 4 months exclusively, and for 4 months I held her before she went to bed every single night for an hour or two before I could transition her into her bassinet, and that was the only way I could get her to sleep. However, at 4 months a light switch went off and she was showing me signs that she was ready for independent sleep, and so we sleep trained her. And I say it with air quotes because the first day we put her in her crib, she, I think, woke up once and cried for like 10 minutes, and I went in there and I burped her and I put her back down and she fell back to sleep. We never really had to do like formal cry it out, and I think that's because we set a good sleep foundation with her. And what that means is basically giving them like the tools to figure out how to self-soothe and kind of learn to sleep independently from early on. And I honestly started doing that as early as like 3 or 4 weeks. And what that looked like basically was once she officially got back up to her birth weight and was gaining weight appropriately, and I no longer had to wake her to feed in the middle of the night, I waited for her to show me signs and wake me up to feed her. And even with that, if she woke up and she wasn't crying out for a bottle or a feeding, I let her lay there for a few minutes, because babies are honestly very noisy sleepers in the early days because they experience something called active sleep. And so a lot of the times your baby squeaks or grunts or makes a noise and you jump up and pick them up and assume it's time for a feeding, when in reality they actually were still sleeping, and that was their body just like reflexively doing those things. And you actually woke your baby up and fed them, and they start to associate like the stirring with the feedings. And so I did something, they do it in France, it's called le pause, basically the pause, where when your baby wakes in the middle of the night, you pause and give them a few minutes to ensure that they are actually awake and ready for a feeding, instead of you accidentally waking them up and then them getting accustomed to those overnight feedings. So we started to do that very early on, and quickly she started to do pretty good stretches, and I would feed her like 2 times a night. And then it got to a point where she just naturally went longer stretches at night, and she would wake up at like 5 a.m. and I would pick her up and try and resettle her without a feeding for her to stop associating feedings with waking in the middle of the night. I also upped her calories during the day so that she was getting adequate calories during the day to where she no longer needed to eat overnight to become satisfied in a day. And then once we were able to wean her from her night feedings and she no longer was waking because she was hungry, that is when we put her in her room, and we still continue to kind of do the lip pause thing. Not really anymore, because she wakes in the middle of the night, and as long as she's happy and content in there and not crying, I leave her. Last night she woke up at like 5 o'clock in the morning. She was rolling around in her bed, she was talking to herself, she was playing with her blankie, and she was overall content. She was just up, and that happens to us as adults. We wake up in the middle of the night and we just have a little bit of energy and have a harder time falling back asleep, and in due time she fell back asleep without crying. And so I find that giving them that opportunity to self-settle and self-soothe really helps in the long run with sleep training and them being comfortable in their sleep space. Even if she wakes up early from a nap, if she only sleeps like 30 minutes, I assume she's not fully rested, and I will leave her in there, and 9 times out of 10 she will resettle in a matter of like 30 minutes. And as long as she's not crying and she's happy in there, she plays until she falls back asleep. If at any point she's really crying and frustrated and not going back to sleep, I take her out. I do answer to her cries and her calls in the middle of the night. If she is crying, like if she was sick and woke up and she was uncomfortable, I would answer to that. But as long as she's happy and content in there, there's no reason for me to go in there and try and assist her back to sleep, because then she only becomes accustomed to that assistance and then requires it after a certain period of time. So I highly recommend looking up lay pause and doing your own research on that and seeing if your baby can benefit from that. But at 7 months old now, she does sleep through the night. She will wake up, like I said, she woke up last night at 5 a.m., but she will put herself back to sleep. She doesn't eat in the middle of the night. She takes 2 naps during a day. They have kind of perfected themselves into like hour-and-a-half naps. She self-soothes and puts herself to sleep. She's been in there for all of 5 minutes and she is just about asleep, as you guys can see. So my biggest tip is to give your baby the opportunity to self-settle and self-soothe and become comfortable and familiar with their sleep space so that they can learn how to fall asleep independently and stay asleep. Okay, next question. I am babbling, which I said I wasn't going to do, so let's do some rapid firing. 2 people asked, when do you plan on going house hunting in 2025? Do you plan on going house hunting in 2025? When are you going to start house hunting? And to be completely honest, I do not have an answer for you on that. Harris and I are still in the early stages of saving for us to move out of his parents' house. And so we do really want to be out of here in 2025. If we had a perfect timeline, we would want to be moved in and settled in a house in the boys' school district that they're going to start kindergarten in, which would be next school year. So hopefully sometime over this summer. But that is really kind of dependent on a lot of moving factors. So I will keep you guys updated. But as of now, in January, we are not house hunting and we're not quite at that point yet. But I'm hoping by the summer we can get moving on that. Next question. What do you have planned for Jack and Ben's 5th birthday? I don't even want to utter that. The fact that the boys are turning 5 in just 2 weeks blows my mind. But we do want to do something special and something fun for them. There is like this Hot Wheels monster truck derby thing somewhere on Long Island the weekend of the boys' birthday. So we're considering possibly that. They love trampoline parks, and so they do want to go to a trampoline park with some of their friends and their cousins. So we are considering doing that as well. We were gonna do like an actual full birthday party for them with their classmates and their cousins and their friends. However, their classmates have had a lot of birthdays since the start of the school year, and none of them have had a birthday yet. So we still think we're going to keep their party just to like their cousins and their friends that they already have established, since I don't really know any of their like school friends' parents just yet. But we do want to do something, whether it be that monster truck derby, whether it be a trampoline park, bowling, they're obsessed with bowling, or there's this glow-in-the-dark like go-kart place on Long Island that I saw that my friend took her kids to. So we might do that. I'm not really sure yet. Like I mentioned, I'm going to Florida next weekend, and so once I get back from that trip, we'll have to solidify what we're doing for the boys' birthday and send out invitations. So I will keep you guys updated, but we definitely want to do something to celebrate 5. I feel like 5 is a good, it's like the first, aside from 1, I feel like 5 is a big like milestone birthday, so we definitely want to do something special for them. I just haven't solidified what just yet. And the last question, I thought we had a few more, but this is the last question, and it's a good note to end on. It is, what is the best thing about being a mom, and what is the hardest thing about being a mom? And this person said love from Morocco, which it still blows my mind. 6 years into doing this, December I think 16th marked 6 years of me being on YouTube. It still blows my mind that so many people watch me, and so many people from around the world. I get a lot of people from Morocco. I get a lot of people from, I think like Germany is one of my top viewing areas. It blows my mind that I get so many like cultures and backgrounds and destinations around the world watching me. So thank you to everyone who has been here. If you're just joining, thank you for stumbling upon my video and clicking it and staying until this point. Thank you guys, because I wouldn't be where I am without all of you. But what is the best thing about being a mom? For me, that is hands down getting to experience things for the first time again through your kids' eyes. Now that the boys are 5, they fully understand a lot of things, and it's very interesting to watch their little minds work and experience things through their eyes for the first time all over again. With Lily being just 7 months old, the simplest things amaze her, like being on vacation and her looking at the palm trees, or her being on the beach and touching sand for the first time. It's amazing to get to experience things for the first time again through your kids' eyes, and you really help shape their childhood. And certain things that they do will like bring you back to your childhood. You'll feel like you're in a time warp, and you'll be like, oh my god, I remember doing this as a kid. And it helps you remember what you felt in the moment, and it feels like you are just living in your childhood again. And that is the best thing about being a mom. And the hardest thing about being a mom is the, I guess, diminished freedom that you have. Like, Harris was sick this past weekend, and he was able to really rest because he knew everything was going to be done and handled by me. I guess what I'm saying is like being the default parent is the hardest, if that is the case for you, or losing a sense of freedom, or having people rely on you so much, like your kids. Especially when I'm sick, that is super hard to know that like I still have to push through. So just like being the default parent, kind of having to push through in your hardest moments, if you're sick, if you're sad, if you don't feel good, having a diminished sense of like freedom. Being a parent is a very selfless thing. You can't really be selfish as a parent and just be like, I don't feel like taking care of you today because I don't feel good. You have to continue to push through those moments. So it's very hard in those moments to find the, I guess, drive to push through, especially when I'm sick. I think being sick is like one of the hardest things when you are a parent, because your little ones depend on you and you need to push through even when you feel absolutely horrible. I see a lot of moms on TikTok talk about how being the default parent is so hard and having people rely on you is so hard. And so I know I'm not alone in this thought, and I don't want you to think that this is a very negative thought to have as a parent. If you are a parent and you do feel guilty, mom guilt is so hard. If you do feel guilty in the moment for thinking like, wow, I wish I didn't have to take care of my kids today because I don't feel good, those are very valid thoughts, and I feel you, I see you, I definitely feel those, especially on the days when I'm sick. So that's what's very hard about being a parent, like just having less freedom to do what you want when you want. It's hard, but I would take being sick any day and having to push through those hard moments for the good moments of getting to see the kids like try things for the first time and kind of relive those moments for the first time as a parent, and seeing the world and life through their eyes. The good definitely outweighs the bad. All right, that is it for my New Year Q&A. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. My next video should be my packing video for my little girls weekend with Lily in Florida, and then I do plan on vlogging that entire weekend. I do have my grandma's 80th birthday that weekend, so that should be really fun. So stay tuned for that. Let me know down below what videos you want to see from me in 2025. Don't forget to follow me over on Instagram and TikTok. It's just Jen Stone if you want even more from me in 2025. And with that being said, I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.